So there's a few free items that we're able to claim right now in the Sims 4 Marketplace, which I am not a fan of that thing, but these are very cute mini maker packs, and since the first of these packs is only available to claim until this Thursday, which is July 9th, I thought I would use all of the free maker packs available right now and redecorate the Springscape lot here in Oasis Springs using only those and the base game. I know that this isn't exactly a base game house, but it is sort of a free item renovation, so I don't dislike this house entirely. I think it has a lot of potential. It is sort of a mid-century modern house that looks kind of bland, and the interior is super weird. It has this very strange green lighting everywhere. The windows, they are a bit too small, I think, for this sort of style, and I actually find the paneling also kind of strange. So the first thing I did was that I got new windows. I am using the ones that we got for the 20th anniversary of The Sims, I think it was. And also I thought that it was cool that we now have a lot more items in the base game that weren't available in The Sims when it first launched. So I am using a bunch of those, and I think that this house is actually my favorite. Well, as I said, it isn't exactly base game, but these mini packs are so small that it might as well be. Even if you didn't have them, it would be very easy to just substitute those items for base game items, and yeah, I think that this was a very successful renovation. One thing that I really wanted to do was to change that siding, and I have this sort of like textured concrete. I also changed the stone for this darker one, and I think that one thing that really helped was changing the roofs for these different shapes. I think this is a lot more mid-century modern, and also having the stone on that other bump out I think also really helped this space. In the end, the house is a little bit smaller than it was originally. I decided that the only way for these roofs and the different textures to not look ridiculous was to actually make the side where the bedrooms are a bit smaller, and then that resulted in one of the bedrooms being bigger than the other one. I think it was the same size as the main bedroom, so I wasn't a fan of that, and I also really don't like it when it looks like my Sims have favorite children. So I decided to actually have two beds in one of those. I thought that maybe it was twins. And I actually decided to keep the dollhouse in the twins' bedroom because it's a sort of mid-century house, so that to me felt like it fit in here. And also there's a few build features that weren't available back when the game first came out, so half walls and also platforms were things that weren't available and that maybe they wanted to use in this house originally. That's why the flooring was different over on the kitchen, and also why it felt like weirdly closed off. So I decided to actually have it semi-open to the rest of the house, and I really liked having that small platform. I think that the separation of spaces is great, and also I got a similar one on the outside of the house so that there was a little step. And shortly you will see me grabbing all of those new items that I wanted to use. I really wanted to have this hanging plant in as many spaces as it was possible without it being too ridiculous. I actually sized it up on the bedroom. I don't think I have that filmed because I was building this very late at night and some things just escaped my mind until I went back to take screenshots. But yeah, I kind of started in the kitchen, and then I realized that this shouldn't be the focal point of the build since the whole inspiration for them was these maker packs, and so I started by getting the sit next to me maker pack in the living space. I thought that this orange swatch was great for the concept that I was going for, and I actually flipped the living room so that it was where the dining room originally was, and I got this wall so that it wasn't the awkward space that it used to be, and that actually allowed me to have a pretty decent sized office inside of this house. So even if it is smaller, there is an extra room in here, and I thought that it was a much better use of the space. I actually didn't have to get rid of the ensuite bathroom. It just ends up being a little bit smaller, but it isn't like so small that it's uncomfortable, and there's still a pretty big family bathroom, so it was barely a sacrifice. But yeah, I really enjoyed using this dining room set. This was, I think, CC originally, and then for some anniversary of the game or the franchise, they got a lot of CC items put into the game officially. That was before I started playing The Sims, so I am not too sure on how that happened, but I did use a few of the pieces from that celebration. That is why this doesn't feel like such a base game house, I think, because of all of these items that used to be CC or that are technically CC, as are these maker packs. I also got a bunch of the items from the African update, the West African update, such as those rugs. I use them everywhere, also the lamps and that really beautiful picture in the dining room. And I got a lot of the items from different events, such as that gaming console and the TV, the entryway rug, a rotary phone and a wall phone. And all of these things, they just made me so happy because I wasn't going for like a specific period of time. I wanted this to be sort of retro, but not necessarily like happening in the past. Especially because one of those maker pack items is a computer that is really, really modern. So actually, I think that was the hardest thing to actually incorporate into this build. But that's also why the office being a separate room was a sort of priority for me. But yeah, that's the basic form for the living space. I think I will be going back to that to add a few things, but first I am going to be working on this children's bedroom, in which the hardest thing to do was actually get the wallpapers. I knew that I needed to use this bed. This is the Astronaut Dream Bed by Alex Croft. That is the only item in that maker pack. Some of them have 2 items, but there's also quite a few of these that are only 1 item. There's also some cast stuff, but I wasn't going to be using it here, so I am really not going to mention that. Other than there's a couple of high heels that are very cute that you probably should grab as soon as possible, because they are also going to be unavailable after July 9th. They are dropping one of these on Thursday of each week. There's still, I think, 2 weeks that we are going to be getting items, and I think they are then available for 4 weeks afterwards. So if I were you and I hadn't claimed any of them, I would go right now, claim all of the ones that are available, and then do the same in 2 weeks. Just so that you don't miss out on free stuff, because as I said, I do have very negative feelings about the marketplace and how it is its own currency and everything is just sketchy. But free stuff is free stuff and it is very high quality. So I am not going to be buying any items from the marketplace with actual money, but these I was very happy to have. I used some of the decorations from events that we have had in The Sims, like the freezer bunnies and a space print that you can actually get from the observatory. I also got a decal from it's a UFO. I sized it up and I think that it looks like there's like either a big decal or like a painted thing on that wall, so I thought that was really cute. And then for the teenagers room, I was thinking this was maybe a 14-year-old, so kind of a young teenager. I used the Japandi Bedroom Essentials by 6MCC that also comes with a mirror, but that is something that I used in the primary bedroom. And I am also using the Cozy Study Corner by Hydra here, which comes with a desk and a chair. At first I tried to have it in white. It is very strange because the desk comes in white, light wood, a darker wood and pink. And then the chair just comes in bright colors and white. So there aren't any wood swatches, which I think is very strange. I did try to use it in the darker shade. I thought that was probably more like something that would fit the style of this house, but I ended up going for the light wood, I believe. And also part of the reason why this was so complicated was that this bed, which is really beautiful, it is also slightly wider than most single beds in the game. It has a lot of like pastel swatches and swatches that didn't really go with the concept anyway, so I decided to just stick to sort of white, pink and purple color scheme for this room. And I think it came out all right. I was very surprised that it looks kind of cohesive, like this chair in the corner with this pillow from another one of the events. I felt really worked. I really like the pattern on that one, and I actually got a freezer bunny guitar later, but that was also something that I didn't do on camera. And I thought that worked great. I also got one of the pride flags that we got, I think it was last year, above the bed. And it has the same pink and purple color scheme that I was going for. It's of course not pastel, but I thought that it was great and it also matched the pride picture that I had here. I really like having the rotary phone in pink. I also got a few of those, I think they are magnets or stickers from another of the events, and I added that around that like calendar wall piece. But that's another thing that I didn't show myself doing. And those book stacks from the Bridgerton event, I think that is still going until Tuesday, and I am not sure when this video is coming out, probably Monday. So that's another thing that you might not be able to claim if you're watching this like later on. I do think, however, that if you were to download this from the gallery, all of the event reward items would actually be in your game. I mean, in this build in your game. I will have to check if that is still the case, but I seem to remember that that is a way for you to actually get access to event rewards. So there's a few rooms that have been uploaded that have, say, the rewards from one or another event. So I hope that that is still the case. And anyway, most of these aren't same as the maker packs, like really big important components of the house. Most of them are just the regular base game that everybody has access to. And if this build is something that you would like to add to your own game, it is going to be on the gallery. My ID is Reno. I always post all of my builds under that name, and I will also have it linked down in the description so you can find it easily. And then in the primary bedroom, I really wanted to have this stuff from the Coach collaboration. I wanted to have this really beautiful bed by Cibulet from the Cibulet Free Samples Maker Pack. That pack also includes that plant that I have above the fridge, and I actually also used it above the closet here in this bedroom. There's also a lot of pastel and more muted or neutral swatches for this bed, but this yellow one was so beautiful and bright, and it fit the exact color scheme and vibe that I was going for, that I just had to use it. And together with the orange wallpaper, it just matched perfectly. Also these lamps from the West African update, and that picture that I think is one of the microscope prints. It was just meant to be. It's the exact same yellow and oranges and all of those colors, and that made me really, really happy. It also matched pretty well with the other furniture pieces that I was using. There's also that mirror that I had mentioned, and I also made sure to get the alarm clocks that we got on that other event. And I found that this wall was kind of blank, so I just got a small bookcase. I was scared that maybe that was going to make this not functional, but it actually is, which was a great relief. And I got some pictures from that anniversary birthday update that we had at some point. That is also base game, and I got the bags from the Coach collaboration. I want to hang one of those by the door because I was very excited to see that it had the same green that I was using everywhere. But yeah, we have moved on into the office, and here I wanted to get that same African plant that I have been adding in so many of the spaces in this house. And of course, I am using this desk and computer set that is also part of these free maker packs. These were very hard to use because they have like such a unique vibe, but well, a few of these do, except maybe the couches. Those are more versatile, and the bed. But this is the Monolith Office Collection by Valia Sims. And I actually didn't keep it in this color, but again, that's something that you won't see in camera. I got it in a very similar swatch, but instead of having the beige, it has gray. So I thought that was something that blended into this house better. And I wanted to have some more books and a chair in this corner. I didn't remember that this bookcase is so empty, but I was very happy that I could use those Bridgerton books again. I also have them on the desk. They have these really beautiful swatches that are also very versatile, so I was very happy to have that. And I did change the layout of that office a little bit because it felt a bit cramped. So that's something else that you will be seeing in the screenshots. And now we are doing the bathroom. I am using the same shower that the family bathroom originally had. That bathroom used to have a bathtub, but I decided that having the bathtub in the larger bathroom made a lot more sense. And another thing that you won't see me doing is that I have added some like kitchen cabinetry sized down above that toilet because it was very empty. And then in the family bathroom, I actually got a larger sink just because I had the space to do that. And I also thought that it would be nice to have a wider mirror because there's so many kids sharing this space. I also really liked that I sized down some of the bathrobes so that it would be more obvious that these were two children and an older sibling. This bathroom is a very simple one, and then in the entryway I decided that I would actually prefer having that, I think it's like a basket or a vase also from that African update, and I added that plant in some more spaces, and I got another one above the fridge. I didn't do much for the outside of this house. I just wanted to have a grill, and I still kept these planters, but I moved them because I decided that it would make sense for there to be a pool. That's something else that I think they probably wanted to have in this house, but since that was a feature that wasn't ready back when the game launched, it is just like this half finished space. But yeah, I got some lounge chairs, and then I remembered some stuff that I wanted to have in the kitchen, and I moved some things around just because there was space for like a coffee pot and a microwave, so I did add those. And I think that later I'm just going to be doing like some terrain paint and some light landscaping. I also got a gate so that you can actually access the house from the backyard, and I did make sure to add alarms and all of those necessary things for a house in The Sims. I am very sorry if you hear the sky rumbling. We have been having thunderstorms, so yeah, I'm trying to avoid having them in the video, but yeah, sorry if you hear those. And I think that I just added like some rocks that we also got from an event, and there are actually a bunch of items from events that are really cool, and some that are kind of harder to use. And I once tried to have a base game house that was using every single event reward item, and it was complicated to actually fit everything just because some of them have very different styles and they are like more traditional or more retro. Actually, I did that a few months ago and I haven't posted it, so by the time that I actually do, it's going to be kind of, well, not obsolete, but it won't be like updated. But I would very much enjoy to have a few different base game and event rewards houses, or maybe not necessarily base game, but kind of focusing on having like the Bridgerton items together with the royalty and legacy and the life and death events together, so they could actually match their surroundings. But yeah, I think that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you stick around for the screenshots, and let me know if you would like to see me actually work on more base game renovations, and if you would prefer it if they were just packs, no packs, or just the actual base game. Thank you again so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!